Hello everyone, it's SpawnPoiint and we've made it. Together we got through 2023, smashed out loads of new games and probably increased that backlog more than we'd liked. But 2024 is just around the corner, so let's take a look at what new games we've got coming out in January on the PlayStation 5, Xbox, PC and Switch. And we've got some real gems in here that you don't want to miss. But before we jump in, I just wanted to say a massive thank you for the support you guys have shown me over the last year. It has been great seeing so many of you in the comments each week. So I hope you had an awesome festive break and Happy New Year to you all. Right, let's kick today's video off with quite possibly one of the best fighting game series of all time, and that's Tekken. To think it's been nearly 9 years since the last installment from Namco, but we finally have Tekken 8 coming out in January 2024. This takes the classic arcade fighting game that we're all used to, but with updated visuals, mechanics and cutscenes to give us a whole new look. But we've not just got the same old characters either. We've got 32 redesigned fighters with improved attacking and defense moves, voiceovers and incredibly detailed faces. Now the main story continues on from the previous game and is set 6 months later, but now each character has their own separate episodes to give more background and insight into their own personal stories. Visually though, this game looks great, and outside of the cutscenes and main story, the fighting looks fluid and fun. It's also the first fighting game to take advantage of Unreal Engine 5, so this should be really good. But even if you've never played a Tekken game before, don't worry, there's actually a tutorial and guide on exactly how to play it, which I think most of us will probably need a refresher anyway. So Tekken 8 comes to PS5, Xbox Series and PC on January 26th. Now if you're on the PS5, we are getting a remaster of a 2020 game, The Last of Us Part 2. But this isn't just a remaster to one of the best games on PlayStation, this also includes some new features as well. So Part 2 follows the journey of Ellie and Abby, which is set 5 years after the original. It's a slow, gritty and visually stunning game set in a post-pandemic America. You have to hide from enemies, fight the infected, scavenge, craft and survive. For me, it's one of the best games and one of my all-time favourite game series. Now although the main story itself hasn't changed, what the remaster brings us is native PS5 features. Things like 4K output in fidelity mode, VRR and faster loading times. It also makes full use of the DualSense's controller features, things like the haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, which weren't available on the PS4 version. On top of that, there are extra lost levels which lets you explore 3 new levels that we've never seen before. We even get new unlockable character and weapon skins, as well as No Return, a new roguelike survival mode. This opens up new areas and challenges as you fight to survive. Now if you've never played The Last of Us, now is definitely the time to start, as you can pick this up and play the entire game. However, if you have played this already and you happen to still own it, there is a digital upgrade option for just £10 or $10, which considering the extra features and upgrades that we're getting, I don't think that's a bad price. So this remaster launches on January 19th, and it's coming just to the PlayStation 5. And after 3 long years since the first trailer, we are just weeks away from roaming around Metropolis in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and I'm actually really excited to play this game. So this time we get to play as the villains, including Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deadshot and King Shark, with the mission of taking down Superman and company. This open world game is developed by the creators behind the Batman Arkham series, and from what we've seen so far, this looks awesome. It is of course a stark contrast to what we're used to in the Batman games, as this is bright and vibrant as opposed to dark and gritty, but I think this works. I also really like the fact that it's going to give us a whole different perspective of the city from the villain point of view. Each character also has their own set of abilities and skills as well as personality, which makes them unique while playing, and you can even swap between each character throughout the game. Now not only is this a single player game, but you are able to team up with your mates and play co-op as well. How cool is this going to be roaming around the city with your mates and fighting the enemies? And visually I think this looks really good. So if you can avoid the leaks and the spoilers that we've seen very recently, the full game is set to release on February 2nd. But if you opt for the deluxe edition, which comes with the Battle Pass token and extra weapons, you will get early access on January 30th. Now whether it's worth the extra $30 or so is up to you, although I will definitely be playing this game. Now who hasn't played a Prince of Persia game? I remember playing these back on the PS2 and PS3, and although this next one isn't a remake or remaster of the Sands of Time, we are getting a whole new look. So Prince of Persia The Lost Crown is an action-adventure platformer game, and that lets you navigate through the scenes, avoiding traps, fighting enemies, and completing puzzles to move on to the next level. But it's more than just a 2.5D game. It's got vibrant graphics, immersive cinematics, and a new look that I think makes this game stand out on its own. They've actually taken the original platform look from the 1989 game, but brought it into 2024 with its comic style and artwork. And on top of that, this is playable at 60 frames per second, so it should be incredibly smooth. So although this is not the reboot that we might have wanted, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown comes to all platforms on January 18th. Or if you go for the deluxe edition, that is available on January 15th. But if you're looking for a fun couch co-op party game you can enjoy with your family, you've got to check out TLOU. This local co-op game lets you play up to 4 players as you race against the clock to renovate your houses, painting walls, laying tiles, sweeping up and taking deliveries. I've always been a massive fan of games like Moving Out and Overcooked, where you really get to test your patience and see how competent your family are. This is one of those fun family games that you'll either complete each level as a team or rage quit and refuse to play. Now this originally launched back in 2019, but on January 5th we get the Ultimate Edition, which brings us the base game and all of the DLC levels along with some extra features that we've not seen before, like a new PvP mode, where you can compete against each other instead of working as a team. So this next one looks really promising, and that's Enshrouded. This is a new survival action RPG set in this stunning open world. You're able to explore this huge map, looting chests and scavenging items as you go. You can craft tools and weapons as well as upskill your spells and armor. Then once you unlock it, you'll have the ability to take to the skies on your glider and explore the map even further. But it's not just the valleys and the mountains that you get to wander around. There's also the underground areas to venture into, and this is where you're tasked with destroying these shroud roots and fighting various enemies and bosses. Then on top of all of the exploring and combat, you can gather materials, chop trees and collect items, all for the purpose of building a base or a house. You can literally build your house anywhere on the map and furnish it however you'd like. We actually got a demo for this game back in October, and it's set to release on January 24th on PC. It is said to be launching later in 2024 on consoles, but we don't have a date for this yet. Then on January 18th we get a port for the popular 2011 game called Bulletstorm, and it is finally coming to VR. So this is a first-person shooter that's fast-paced, violent and full of humour. You play as a mercenary called Grayson Hunt with a taste for vengeance as you slash, slide and carve your way through the levels. You fight crazy raiders and massive beasts, perform skill shots and pretty much shoot everything in sight. What they've done is taken the original game, which launched back on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and adapted it for VR. And from what we've seen so far, this looks like a solid port. So this one is coming to PSVR 2, MetaQuest and Steam VR on January 18th. Now if you've got a Switch, you might have seen this game already back in June, but it's coming to Xbox, PlayStation and PC in January. So Speed Crew is a fast-paced co-op party game where instead of racing around a track for the fastest time, you are tasked with fixing cars against the clock. I would compare this to Overcooked but with cars. Now you're actually part of the pit crew as you work through 48 levels, finding parts, repairing cars and progressing through the main story. Now obviously this game is not going to be for everyone, but this is another couch co-op party game that I think is going to be a lot of fun. And what's great is you can play up to 4 players both online or locally. So if you like playing party games with your friends or family, this one could be for you. Also the main character is called Dominion Torrento, so this is definitely going to be about family. Right, just hear me out on this one. So you know how most of us probably played with trains when we were kids? Well, what if you could build the ultimate track in your room but without the mess and taking over your dining table? Well, Toy Trains is a new VR game coming to the PSVR 2, MetaQuest and Steam VR, and this actually looks a lot of fun. It is totally different to the norm and actually very different to normal VR games, as it's going to be one of those calming and relaxing games as it lets you plan and build out your tracks. You can place miniature houses, work around obstacles and just be creative. There's also no rush, no timers, no score, it's just you and the board. I can imagine this being pretty immersive as you're listening to the trains and music. So if you do fancy something totally different or you're just into building train tracks, Toy VR launches on January 16th and that's coming to all of the VR platforms. And finally, we have Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is the 9th installment in the very popular series and is a direct sequel to the 2020 game. And from what we've seen so far, this looks promising. This role-playing game is going to be the first in the series to venture outside of Japan, and this time is heading to Hawaii. And having been used to the previous games being pretty dark and moody, this one looks to be a lot more vibrant and colourful by comparison. Once again, it uses a turn-based combat system to take down the various enemies as you explore the beaches and walk around the city. You can also take on jobs which kind of act like classes for your character. Essentially, each job you take will provide a whole new skill set, different strengths and weaknesses for combat. Now these games are known for being long, but it's been said that the storyline is going to be the longest yet. Combine that with the smooth turn-based combat, new location and stunning visuals, I think this is turning out to be a highly anticipated game for 2024. So Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is coming to Xbox, PC and PlayStation on January 26th. And there you have it, that was a quick look at some of the new games coming out in January 2024. I'm pretty excited to play almost all of these, but most notably The Last of Us and Suicide Squad. But what about you? Is there anything that you're really looking forward to playing in January? So I hope you've had a great week so far, and if you do celebrate it, I hope you have an awesome new year as well. Now drop a 2024 games in the comments and I'll give you a thumbs up for staying right till the end. And if you did enjoy today's video, check out my best games video next, as that covers my favourite 2023 games that are still worth playing today. Well, thanks for watching, please like, sub and follow me everywhere. Until next time.